Hey Booktube, this is Kelly. Thank you so much for watching my channel, Books I'm Not Reading. I am here today with a tag, Jim at Jim's Books, Reading and Stuff. And yes, you do have to do the hand motion, okay? Has revised a tag. B tag, the new and improved B tag. I did the original B tag. So like about 3 years ago, I think Jim said in his video, he created all of these tags. There were so many. I feel like there was one for every letter of the alphabet. There were numbers, there were cities, it was a lot. But when the alphabet, the letters tags started cropping up, it was so funny because on Tuesday, like I would go through, my subscription feed and it was just like alphabet soup. Like there's like a C here and a D here and a K over here, whatever. Like it was wild. Like just so many letters. And I think Jim's idea was when he tagged people, he would tag people whose channel had that letter in the name, which he did again in this new and improved one, which I will link to down below, as well as my original B tag, because there are some questions that overlap and I'm not gonna do them again. Like, they're probably still the same answer. There's one question that I did in the old tag that, would be new this year. So, would be a different answer. So I will do that one. But anyway, so we're gonna jump around a lot. I will list the complete list of questions. And so if I tag you, and I may tag people who don't have B in their channel names, because I'm starting to feel like B is for breaking the rules. So we're gonna kind of jump around though, but we will talk books. All right, question 2. B is for a book to screen. What's your favorite or least favorite book to screen adaptation? So I grabbed a couple because, like there's so many that I just talk about all the time, and it's a little, I feel a little guilty about it, I guess, maybe. But yeah, so I do love, and it wasn't like a feature film, it was a mini series, but North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. The mini series, if I'm sick, like that's just that's kind of a comfort thing that I go to, and I'll just watch as much of it as I possibly can. Yeah, so I love the mini series of North and South. But I also grabbed another book for this prompt because I don't think I talk about this one very often, and that's A Room with a View. Which was a Merchant Ivory film adaptation that's just glorious. It's so gorgeous. Such a gorgeous film. And this is a really special book. I could have grabbed Remains of the Day. I mean, there's a lot. So, okay. Question 3, B is for best. What is the best book you have read this year? And I feel like that was in another tag video I did recently, and I'm still gonna stand by Gilead. Although I don't know, there's some another book that could change that up. Question 4, B is for boring. Which, by the way. We actually, in our house, try not to use that word in describing books or films. Jason feels like it's just a really easy out, right? Like, oh, it's boring. So we don't tend to describe books that way. But what's a book you found boring, but you are glad that you finished? So this book was not boring. But I just didn't get all the humor. And this is Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. It is a military book in World War II, and I read this book and I was like, I thought it was supposed to be funny, and I just didn't really kind of pick up on the humor. And so I talked to my dad, who was in the Army, and he told me all these like crazy stories of things that had happened to him when he had been in the military, and just like wild, just things like you can't even really believe. It's somewhat terrifying, right? Like, to think like military leaders just could be fooled, or could be, yeah, like not as in charge as they should be. But anyway, so once I started talking to my dad about the book, and yeah, he just like laughed and laughed over some of the stuff in it that he still remembered. I don't know how long ago it's been since my dad's read Catch-22. But anyway, so this book was not boring, but talking to my dad really helped me see like the great humor in it. So question 5, B is for borrowed. Do you prefer borrowing books or buying them? What's the last book you borrowed? I do prefer buying books to borrowing them, just because I'm not such a huge fan of my local library. It's still a little, it's gotten a lot better, but it's still a little awkward for me to go there. But nonetheless, like sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I did check out a couple books from the library for the Irish Readathon earlier this year. I checked out, I think it's like the, I don't know if it was the complete or collected short fiction of, it must have been selected kind of short fiction by Oscar Wilde. It was the Penguin edition, and I think I'm just gonna buy it because so many of you told me stories that are in that collection that you thought were amazing, and so I really just want to read it. And then I also checked out a collection of like Irish myths and legends kind of thing, and I didn't get to either of them during the Irish Readathon because I was so consumed with my own books. But anyway, I had good intentions. I think that's why, the part of why I like borrowing them is that then if I can't get to the library, if the library is closed, if I'm snowed in my house, which, you know, didn't really happen this year, but could happen in future years, it's just so nice to, like, you have whatever it is you want to read, and it's right there. So, okay, question 7. B is for badass. Talk about breaking the rules, Jem. Okay, what's the most badass character you've read about recently? So this isn't recently, but I mean, Lisbeth Salander, I think, is the ultimate badass character. And if I were you, if you haven't read these books and you're thinking about reading them, only read the ones that are actually by Stieg Larsson. Do not read the subsequent ones where people are trying to imitate it. Like, only he could have pulled this series off. I don't know, yeah. I think I still love the first one the most. This is a book that, like, when I read it, I was genuinely terrified. There are definitely things in here that if you don't like violence, or you know, have a hard time reading about violence to women or that sort of thing, I wouldn't recommend this book. But Lisbeth Salander, no arguing, like, she's definitely a badass. Question 13. B is for backlist. What's a book on an author's backlist that you still want to read? So many books, my goodness. But I did grab a book from my library cart because one of you just finished reading it and told me how much you loved it, which makes me very excited. And in keeping with the bee theme, I grabbed The Beat Queen by Louise Erdrich. So my goal is to read all of Louise Erdrich's novels for adults. And I'm woefully behind in that goal, but I really would like to read this one this year. So we'll see. We'll see if I can pull it off. Question 14. B is for beach. What would you recommend for a beach read? You know, I really think that depends on the beach. I think it depends on your mood. I think it depends on what is comforting, or like what do you like to read on the beach. So I mean, for me, I would say any Agatha Christie would be a good beach read. When I went to the Caribbean with my husband and his family, I took along Agatha Christie's A Caribbean Mystery, which kind of has ties to this book, which is Nemesis. I read Nemesis before I read A Caribbean Mystery, but it's not really, I don't think it's a big deal or anything like that. But then, like, I just gave a Caribbean Mystery to my mother-in-law. Like, she needed something to read, and I was like, do you want this? And I just gave it to her. So, yeah, Agatha Christie books, like, for the most part, like A Caribbean Mystery, other than the fact that it happens in the Caribbean, and it's Miss Marple, like, I don't really remember anything about it. I do remember Nemesis, though. This is my thus far favorite Agatha Christie novel. I'm very far away from reading everything, but most of her stuff, like, I read it and I don't remember it, so it's perfect. I could grab almost any Agatha Christie book and be like, oh, it's like reading it for the first time. Question 15. B is for buddy read. Have you done a buddy read? Yes, yes. I've been on Booktube too long to have done buddy reads. And how did it go? So, yeah, buddy reads. The person I do the most buddy reading with is Joe Smith. And we just finished reading Some Tame Gazelle by Barbara Pinn, which was excellent. Excellent book. The more I think about it, the more I really like it, and the more I'm excited to read more of her books. But I have found that, like, because Joe Smith is British, we've read a lot of British literature together, and she really helps me to, like, understand things that probably would have passed me by otherwise. So I love that about reading things with Jo. And she is the queen of buddy reads. I'm telling you, she always has so many buddy reads on the go. I will say, just to clarify, because I've had a couple people ask me about buddy reads in the comment section, and so, like, right now I have all my buddy reads planned out for the year. I'm not adding to that. 16. B is for biography. Do you have a favorite biography or memoir? Oh, God, you guys, so many. There's so many great biographies and memoirs. So in the spirit of B is for breaking the rules, I grabbed a book I haven't actually read, which is Born Standing Up by Steve Martin. I would really like to read this book. And I probably need to read it right now. Like, I need something funny, which I suspect it is. I have so much respect for Steve Martin. I think he is just incredibly talented. I mean, he's an actor, a comedian. He plays the banjo, and he can write books. So yeah, it's. I would really like to read this, but I haven't gotten to it yet. If you have and you liked it or didn't like it, let me know down in the comment section. Question 17. B is for big book. What's the biggest book you've ever read, and would you recommend it? So the biggest book I've ever read is the Bible. And yes, I would recommend the Bible. Not because I'm trying to proselytize on my channel, okay? But there are so many literary references to things that come from the Bible, and you will miss them in books if you're not familiar with the story, right? If you don't know. So I do think you can read the Bible as literature, just like we read the Odyssey as literature, or the Iliad, or I don't know, other ancient texts, because they have a huge influence on other great writers. Just like, like Shakespeare references the Bible, but then later, like, other writers are referencing Shakespeare. And so, it's kind of this train. But anyway, so this is definitely the biggest book I've ever read. I've read the Bible twice all the way through. Not sure if I will ever get through it all again. But anyway, okay, last question. B is for book hangover. What book left you with a serious book hangover? And I guess I don't know what a book hangover, like, is a book hangover just like you read such a good book that then, like, you can't, like, it's hard to move on? Like, it's hard to find something else to read? I'm not sure what a book hangover, like, what does that mean? So I don't have an answer for that question. Maybe you guys can clear that up for me. Now, like I said, I'm going to list all of the questions down below. I would love to know what your answers to some of these questions are. And you can play with the B theme as much as you want, like with the titles of the books or whatever, but please feel free to answer these questions down below in the comment section. Again, I'm going to tag some people down below. And if you are ever looking for a tag to do, I would highly recommend going to Jim's channel and looking at his, like, back playlist. So you can always go back and do the S tag or whatever it is. Like, you can always do those tags. They're very evergreen. So just, yeah, I think Jim's channel is fantastic, and I wish more people were watching his videos. So anyway, all right, Booktube, I look forward to hearing your comments down below. As always, if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, maybe you can leave me like a bee, like a honeybee. You can leave an emoji if you don't feel comfortable leaving a comment, or you can give this video a thumbs up, which I really do appreciate. Booktube, please remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye.